was born in Germany in 1946 in a DP camp. We didn't have any music at home, but my mother had a brother, Chaim Meir Zilberger, Olav Shalom, was also the Baal Shachris for Ben Zion Miller, Chazan Ben Zion Miller in Montreal. And I used to go to his house and listen to Chasidishe records, Yosef Rosenblatt, Quartin. When I was like 7, 8 years old. And then I started singing chazonos when I was just a kid. And for some reason, I started creating my own stuff. I started composing when I was 10 years old. I composed my first niggun when I was 10 on Keilodoin on Kolamasim. And I kept on composing. Almost every few days, something else, another song. At age 12, I was introduced to Chazan Tzvi Halperin in Montreal, Olav Shalom. And I went to him, and he heard many of my Niggunim. I sang in his choir for 2 years on Yomim Noroim. And the same time when I was introduced to him, I was also introduced to Chazan Shia Vider, who was in Montreal at the time, by Chazan Herschel Stern in Montreal, who was a friend of Chazan Tzvi Halperin. And I became a frequent visitor by Shia Vider in his home. And from him I learned how to improvise on the spot at a very, very early age. Chazan Shia Vider was a tremendous zoger, and if you heard him in person davening, everything was improvisation. He had his compositions, but he was a tremendous improviser, and this is who I learned from. He coached me quite a bit, and I've been composing ever since. People ask me, why aren't you releasing any of your Niggunim? They're nice Niggunim. The world needs to know about this. Well, what happened was, when I was a bocher, I composed the Niggun and sang the Niggun around. And a year and a half later, I buy a record from a bookstore in Montreal, and I listened to one of the songs on there. I won't even mention the song, you may know what it is. And the composer on the back of the album cover, which was, now we have CDs, back then it was records, it gave the name of a composer of someone else. I became very upset, and I made a neder at the time. I will not release any of my songs, period. I kept on composing. Well over 100 Niggunim. I can't even count how much over 100 Niggunim. Sometimes it's 2 a day, sometimes it's 1 a week, sometimes it's 1 every 2 weeks, sometimes 4 or 5 Niggunim a week. And I learned how to compose a niggun on the spot. If someone gives me 3 notes, I can compose a niggun right there and then. And I kept doing this. About 9 years ago, I became very, very, very ill. I had prostate problems, and surgery was performed. I was supposed to go home in a couple of days. Nothing healed. And suddenly I was bleeding a lot. Nothing helped. And my organs began to shut down. I was on 100% oxygen around the clock. In a period of 6 months, I was like 3 months out of those 6 months in the hospital, including Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Pesach, I was in the hospital. Then the doctors told my wife that I've got about 10 days left. And one of the doctors suggested that I should be transferred to Ann Arbor, Michigan, University Hospital. They transferred me over there. They found out what the problem was. I was cured within 5 days. I was back home, all the tubes taken out. And at that time, I realized that I need to leave something in this world because I was almost in Shamayim already. Actually, it happened 2 times. I'll tell you the second time also, which was very recently. And I decided to sing my songs many times at a kumzitz, here and there, different shuls and so on. And also to record my niggunim. So I had knee replacement the second time. The second time, which was done by Dr. Jeffrey Michelson, who was a very famous orthopedic surgeon. There were 2 surgeons in the room doing my surgery because I not only needed the knee replacement redone, but I also needed a bar running from the knee almost to the higher up, and from the knee down I needed a bar in that bone also because the bones were deteriorated. So there was one specialist doing the bars and another one doing Michelson was doing the knee replacement. While I was under anesthesia, the doctor came out to tell my wife that I'm humming a song. And I'm completely out and I'm humming a song. Is this normal? And she said, well, I know that he dreams songs and he wakes up in the middle of the night and runs to record them and they're on his recorder. They went back, and the way he tells the story, I actually wrote a letter to that effect that this has to be medical history. I was humming first when he was cutting on me, and he said that once they turned the saw on, they had to take out the old knee. It makes a lot of noise in the OR room, and as the noise kept getting higher, I started singing louder. And he states in his statement, because this had to be in my medical report, everything that happens during surgery has to be in the medical report. He states that the louder the machine was going, the louder I was singing, and completely out. After the surgery, and I was in the recovery room, I woke up, he comes in, he says, Pinchas, do you remember anything from the OR room? I said, I don't remember a thing. How could I remember? I don't even remember you taking me in there. He says, you know you were singing during the entire surgery, which was like a 3-hour surgery. I said, no. Do you remember what I was singing? I got real excited. I wanted to know what I was doing so I could maybe remember or know it. Didn't know. And this was put into my medical records, and he wrote a letter stating exactly what I just told you what happened. To me and to my wife, it wasn't news, because many times I wake up at night and I have visions of music in my dreams. One time, I'm tapping my foot real hard in my sleep, in the bed, and my wife runs off her bed, and she pushes me and says, what's wrong, what's wrong? And I said, nothing, I just dreamt a niggun. She said, what's the niggun? I sat up in bed and I sat, it was Sholem Aleichem. And I ran to record it, it's a beautiful niggun, it goes, Shalom Aleichem Malachi Yashoreis Malachi Elyoin Mi Melech Malchi Amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Nay na nay na nay na 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 nay na nay Oy 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 Shalom Aleichem Malachi Yashoreis and I dreamt that. That's what happened, and I put it on I recorded it on my recorder. It'll probably be in my next CD with where I would have nothing but zmiras. I have nigunim for every zmira. So after that, this was another siman to me from Hashem Yisborach, what happened in the second time with the surgery, that this is what Hashem wants. And that's why I hope that when I said the Kol Nidre the last time, after I decided I need to bring this out, that I had Heter Nedorim because I made a neder so early in my life. And I'm sure I have Heter Nedorim, all the Nedorim I made, that I would never allow my music to be publicized, at least not publicized on recordings. That has changed, and here I am now. I met Yehuda Green. He came for Shabbos to a shul where I'm a chaz, and I daven once a month, Shabbos Mevorchim, David Ben Nochem in Oak Park, Michigan. It's a Chasidishe shul. And Yehuda Green was invited for Shabbos. We have a policy, we have a custom, not a policy, a custom. Every Shabbos we have a chont with a kiddush with chont, with kugel, and we have a chevra, my group of chevra over there. We sit at the kiddush sometimes an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. We sing my nigunim. When we're done singing my nigunim, Pinchas, it's time to compose another nigun every Shabbos. And so I do that. Somebody gives me 3 notes. Okay, here are your 3 notes. Do something. And I do. And we sing it over many times. I can't record it. I can't write down the music. So we have to remember after Shabbos. So I go home. On the way home from shul, I repeat it in my head and at home. And every now and then I forget what I did. So I call one of the chevra that sing with me there. Do you remember? Can you give me at least how I started it? If you tell me how I started it, I would remember it. And a lot of times they do. And after Shabbos, I either record it or write the music, have the music written. And sometimes they don't remember either, but 2-3 months later it comes back to me. It's amazing. So Yehuda Green was sitting at the Kiddush. He's listening to all these nigunim that they're singing. They sing my nigunim. My zmiras, I have a nigun for every zmira. They sing my nigunim. And he goes to the rabbi. He didn't know me at the time. It was not Shabbos Mevorchim, so it wasn't my turn to daven. He davened for the Yom HaShachos. He davened beautifully. And he asked the rabbi, Rabbi Kostelitz, Rabbi Aaron Kostelitz, who's the Rav from our shul, whose nigunim are this? I never heard these nigunim. They're beautiful nigunim. So the rabbi pointed to me and said, I'm the chazan of the shul, and I composed these nigunim. I that Shabbos composed one at the table too. And we became very close. We spent the entire Shabbos together, singing together, Yehuda and I, myself. And then 2 of the nigunim that he liked very, very much, he recorded on his last CD. Barcheni is the name of the CD. Ma'ashiv and Anshamalach. And I helped him with a lot of other things also on the CD, which he recognizes me for that. And it's written in the little pamphlet that I helped him with a lot, and I composed those 2 nigunim. Before I talk about my album now, I also want to mention that Yonasan Schwartz also put out Ani Mamin on his last album, Agita Hearts. Now, Baruch Hashem, the album now, 11 songs, all my Niggunim, with major singers, Benny Friedman, Shlomo Simcha, Shimi Engel, Yaeli Greenfeld, Mordechai Shapiro, David Gabay, and a surprise child soloist, a wonder child with an unbelievable voice. I'm not going to disclose his name because that will be one of the main features on the album. And Baruch Hashem, it's now coming to pass. There will be more albums. A tremendous yasher koyach to Naftali Schnitzler, who is producing this album and who was able to show these Niggunim to these singers and to other singers. There were many that wanted to come on the album, but we chose the ones that are on there. And the fact they want to sing these songs, hopefully they're good songs.